Remember that there are children here today and that this is a family protest, and for the people that live on this estate this is real. This is like some of us are like entertainers amplifying and supporting, but this is 92 families are losing their homes because of greed. In my country, immigration is always a topic that is used to make working people and people without enough resources focus their energy and negativity on other working people who don't have resources, when there are people at the top of our hierarchical structures that have lots and lots of money and resources. This is an issue that affects the 100%. Because none of us can be happy as long as any of us are treated with discrimination, as long as any of us suffer from inequality.
Since the financial crash, banker bonuses have exceeded £80 billion. George Osborne, your Chancellor, campaigned to stop caps being placed on banker bonuses. At the same time, there were austerity cuts against the poorest among us, the disabled, people that we need to be looking after.
Your book is named Revolution. Do you think it's coming?
I think it's inevitable.
For what it's worth, I think my personal view is we should have a loving, peaceful protest.
I don't know when this happened, when we were turned into consumers instead of citizens. You lot already did one revolution to kick out a group of people who taxed you without representing you, and now it's happening again.
Russell Brand, clearly a man for the people, clearly an enlightened soul, just trying to uplift and empower humanity. A man using his celebrity status to bring much needed attention to the world's problems. Right? Or is there more than meets the eye here? Is today's image of Russell Brand as an activist, a revolutionary, a spiritually enlightened human being, the real story? We're living in very confusing times right now. A period where humanity is starting to awaken to many truths which have been kept hidden for millennia. Truths which have been deliberately hidden by a dark force which wishes to control and enslave the human population. In a word, we are at war. Whether that word sits well with you or not, it doesn't change the reality of our situation. War is what we are in the middle of. A war for our very freedom and ultimately our survival. So although on the surface Russell Brand appears to be on our side, if we just accept appearances without investigation, then we are leaving ourselves in a very precarious situation and easily open to manipulation. So let's have a real look at who Russell Brand is and what's really going on here. Since hosting his own YouTube show, The Truths, where Russell discusses the daily news media and answers questions from subscribers, there have been a number of occasions where people have asked him about a certain tattoo on his left inner wrist. The number 33 is the highest degree of Freemasonry. For those unaware, the Freemasons are the largest secret society on the planet, and at the highest levels certainly don't have humanity's best interests at heart. Reaching the 33rd degree in Freemasonry is a celebrated honour, and it's common for members who reach that level to display this milestone through maybe a ring, an item of clothing, or even a tattoo. Here's Russell's response to this question.
Firstly, explain the number 33 tattooed on your inner wrist. You're a smart man and must know of its colossal importance to Freemasonry. Well, it's not Freemasonry actually. You can't be a Freemason, I don't think, if you've got a criminal record. What to me it means, mate, is it's when Jesus died, and I love a bit of Jesus. So it's as simple as that.
So the 33 tattoo on Russell's wrist is simply there to signify the age in which Jesus died. Nothing to do with Freemasonry. Okay, let's give Russell the benefit of the doubt on that for now, and put that tattoo aside for a moment. So let's move on to Russell as a children's author. In November 2014, Russell released his own children's book. On the surface, this doesn't seem to be so unusual. After all, it's not uncommon for a celebrity to publish a children's book. So why should this raise any suspicion? Well, let's take a closer look at this book and the reasons Russell gives for writing it. The book is a retelling of the classic children's story, The Pied Piper. And it's the first of a series of books which Russell plans to write under the name of The Trickster Tales. An interesting name, as will become more significant as we go along. Here's Russell showing the character of the Pied Piper. The character is clearly made to look like him. Secondly, the colour scheme chosen for the character is very significant indeed. Black and white checkered pattern. Where have we seen that before? Here's the floor of a Freemasonic temple, all of which have black and white checkered floors.
Russell is known for films like Forgetting Sarah Marshall and Get Him to the Greek, and for being an all-around social commentator, provocateur, and ladies' man. Here he is now, taking on the role of children's author. Get out of here.
Yes.
When people think Russell Brand, they don't think children's author.
No.
Now look, you've written a children's book, you have. Russell Brand's Trickster Tales, The Pied Piper of Hamelin. It's your take on this traditional tale.
Yeah, that's right.
Why did you do this for kids?
Because I think that fairy stories contain in them really important information that is difficult to get in any other way. Stories about community and duty and love that perhaps we don't receive in any other format. Plus, it was an opportunity to create the character of a Pied Piper who, like Chris Riddell, the illustrator, he's just sort of himself a magical bloke. He's created this character here, for me, is irresistible and sort of terrifying. He's a bit like the Droogs from Clockwork Orange.
So Russell's Pied Piper character, a children's book character, is, quote, a bit like the Droogs from Stanley Kubrick's film A Clockwork Orange. If you've not seen A Clockwork Orange, the Droogs are a group of murderers and rapists. The film is so violent that it was banned in many countries, and actually in the UK it was banned for 27 years. Do you think basing a children's book character on a murderer and a rapist is a good idea? And here's more confirmation that the character is made to look like Russell.
And a little bit like you, in a way.
Yeah, in that he's sort of a trickster, a prankster, a troublemaker, a mischief maker.
Interesting description Russell gives here to confirm that the character is based on him. Let's listen to that again.
And a little bit like you, in a way.
Yeah, in that he's sort of a trickster, a prankster, a troublemaker, a mischief maker.
He's a trickster, a prankster, a troublemaker, a mischief maker. So what about the actual story of the Pied Piper? What relevance does that have to anything?
The Pied Piper of Hamelin is a very famous story. You know what happens is the town of Hamelin is overrun by rats. They call the Pied Piper. The Pied Piper leads the...
These are very scary images.
Yeah, it's terrifying, but children can handle it. The children can handle the fear, can't they? This is spooky. But the Piper leads the rats away, cleanses them of the problem of the rats, but then the people of Hamelin don't pay him. But I think in the story, what the Piper represents is the connection to the divine, the connection to the sublime.
What Russell fails to mention here during this description of the Pied Piper story is the second part of the tale. Yes, the Pied Piper gets rid of the rats from the town, but then he comes back and he takes the town's children. He leads the children away from the town and into a cave where they are never seen again. Interesting how Russell feels that an abductor of children is a divine and sublime character.
What the Piper represents is the connection to the divine, the connection to the sublime.
Of course, the key characteristic of the Pied Piper is that he takes control of people's minds and leads them astray towards destruction. Although celebrities do come out and write children's books from time to time, it certainly seems a little odd that Russell Brand would do this. Yes, he has been trying to portray a new image as, quote, spiritually enlightened. But let's not forget that the old Russell, the womanizer, the sex-obsessed, the outrageous character, is still very much alive.
Hello, Wendy Williams.
How are you? You've got a sticker on your pants.
Forgive me, that was a misdemeanor. That's just to restrain myself if necessary. Yes?
Are you thinking about something?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I was thinking about something because, as you know, I've announced it. I find Catherine very attractive. Then when she said exchange numbers, I thought things that I'd like to exchange with her.
The road, because things was getting a bit fruity out there. All right, Liz, goodbye.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, it's been really a wonderful experience. See you later, Liz.
Russell.
All right, take care. Russell, how can I do your bra just like this?
So I hear you're a very traditional guy, that you all those critters.
If by traditional you mean sex mad, then yes. Do you think she means how many orgasms have I given other people in one day, or how many have I myself expressed in one day?
I think she meant the latter, but let's go with both.
Once in Dublin, 9. Now that was, and it weren't even in a day, it was an evening. It was crazy there.
You said you fancied Jennifer Lawrence.
Sure, she's a really beautiful Oscar-winning actress. I wouldn't go, I refuse to have sex with this glorious creation. I once masturbated a man to the point of orgasm in a public bathroom, but it was for a television programme. It's a bit hot as well, so it burns, yeah.
Oh, well then cool it down. You do want it hot, you don't want it cold.
It's nice working with you, man. Nice. I mean, I'm
happy to help. I'm happy.
Thank
I'm
you.
a Buddhist. So
You're a Buddhist?
I help where I can.
I'll tell you what, that's got you to the 7th level. Let me tell you. Nice working with you, Gary. I mean, that was great. That was fabulous. Good work. Cheers. Thank you. Okay. Right, so I've just wanked off a man in a toilet. I can't fucking believe I just did that.
When people think Russell Brand, they don't think children's author.
No.
Interestingly, the theme of Russell Brand and child abduction is not limited to just his Pied Piper book. During the 2012 Olympic closing ceremony in London, Russell played the role of this character. Wearing a purple striped outfit and riding a multicoloured vehicle which contained within it a number of trapped characters. The connection of this with another classic children's character was fairly obvious.
Here we are, children. Come and get your lollipops. Lollipops.
For those unaware, that's the child catcher from the 1968 Disney film Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. The colour scheme of the child catcher's outfit and the colour scheme of his vehicle have been switched around on Russell's character. As you can see, the child catcher's vehicle has purple stripes, and the coat he wears is multicoloured, with strong emphasis on orange and red. So the colour scheme of his vehicle becomes the colour scheme of Russell's outfit, and the colour scheme of the child catcher's outfit becomes the colour scheme of Russell's vehicle. Enough of a change to make the comparison a little less obvious to the masses. The hat he wears is also very similar.
Come along, my little dears, my little mice. Come to me. What will it be? Ice cream? Yes, ice cream! Chocolate? It's all inside. Come along, my little dears. Go inside, not a baby. Go inside, my little dears.
Although Russell Brand's film career has been fairly limited, taking a closer look at the films he's actually been involved in, can be an eye-opening experience. After becoming a big TV celebrity, the first film he starred in was the 2009 release St. Trinians. What is disturbing about this film is the blatant promotion of paedophilia. In fact, it's one of the most heavily paedophilic themed films ever to be made.
The first years, the geeks, the emos, the posh toddies.
Okay, girls, here's a little tip I learned from Paris. Hilton.
France. So, how'd you feel?
Like St. Trinian.
The subject of today's lesson is crime. We need to think big.
You're up to something, and I will get to the bottom of it.
Credit card fraud, extortion, theft.
All sounds frightfully exciting, doesn't it?
He's coming this way.
They're taking higher education to a new level.
What's it like being at St. Trinian's?
It's like one big, happy, it's slightly dysfunctional family.
St. Trinians.
Then we have Russell starring as rock and roll singer Aldous Snow in the film Forgetting Sarah Marshall and its follow-up sequel Get Him to the Greek. The hand symbolism of the horned devil is prominent throughout the films and the film's promotion. In case you're unaware of what the horned devil hand symbol relates to, here's the founder of the Church of Satan, Anton LaVey, showing you how it's done. And what was the name of Russell Brand's character's band in those two movies? It was Infant Sorrow. Interesting choice of name. The artwork for this band is very telling as well. Here is a wolf leaping from Russell's groin area as he opens up his pants to expose himself. And this is also very symbolic. The words "just say yes" as Russell licks the end of a guitar in a suggestible manner with the name Infant Sorrow above. Just stop for a minute. What image does the phrase infant sorrow create in your mind? And more recently, we had Russell starring in another rock and roll themed movie alongside Tom Cruise, Rock of Ages. Once again, this allowed Russell to flash the horned devil sign throughout the movie and while promoting it under the guise of him just being in character. In going back to his TV career, the show which really launched him as a star in the UK was the heavily symbolic show Big Brother. Just another coincidence, I'm sure. Then we come to Russell Brand's 14-month marriage to music superstar Katy Perry. Now, on the surface, it looked like a typical celebrity marriage. They looked like they were in love, and it just didn't work out. It happens. But let's take a closer look at this situation. First of all, the dark forces which are attempting to control and enslave the human population have total control of the mainstream music industry. You don't become a superstar like Katy Perry without being part of the gang. Here's Katy in her own words explaining the situation.
You're doing really well now, but didn't you release a CD like almost 10 years ago? Wasn't that your first CD?
Yeah, I mean, I released a gospel record when I was 15 because I grew up in, a household where all I ever did was listen to gospel music, and my parents are both traveling ministers, and so that was kind of like my first introduction to music, and it was kind of like that's all I ever knew. That was my life, my faith, my church, my church friends, and things like that. So I kind of sang about what was going on in my life at 15, that's how I got introduced to the music industry, is through gospel music. And then it didn't work out. Like, it was quite a little blip on the radar. I think the label went bankrupt or what have you. And because I swear I wanted to be like the Amy Grant of music.
Yeah.
But it didn't work out. And so I sold my soul to the devil.
She sold her soul to the devil. That's right. Katy Perry, in her own words, tells us how she became a superstar in the music industry. Now, before we continue, I want to make it clear that the idea of the devil, as Christianity portrays it, is not correct. Christianity is a control structure, just like all religions are. But it does contain seeds of truth. What Katy is referring to here when she says the devil are simply the dark forces which are in control of this planet. Katy Perry is a mind-controlled slave. More specifically, she is a monarch mind-controlled slave. A form of trauma-based mind control which has its roots in the MK Ultra mind control programs. Just looking at the symbolism attached to Katy Perry tells us the whole story. The one-eyed symbolism is constantly prominent to show her control by the Illuminati networks. The devilled horn symbol is also flashed as well. And then her music videos and stage shows contain a huge amount of symbolism which identifies her as a monarch mind-controlled slave. The Monarch Mind Control program is named after the monarch butterfly, symbolising the transformation from one form to another, the caterpillar to the butterfly. The butterfly symbol is seen throughout Katy Perry's live shows and music videos. Secondly, the symbol of the sex kitten is also heavily connected to the Monarch Mind Control program, as these mind control victims are often used as sex slaves as well. Once again, the imagery of the cat is found throughout everything to do with Katy Perry, from her costumes all the way through to her own perfume line. With all monarch mind control slaves, a so-called handler or handlers are responsible for keeping tight control over them. It recently hit the news that singer Kesha was suing her producer for repeated physical and sexual assault. It's highly likely that he is her monarch handler, and I doubt very much that that suing will go anywhere. These handlers have specific trigger keywords and trigger objects which they use to control the state of the slave. The next clip is from the red carpet at the Oscars, while Russell Brand was still married to Katy Perry. Pay close attention to what Russell has in his hands and the change in Katy's demeanour once he reveals it.
We're live on GMTV. Come over. Hi, Katy. Hi, hello. Bring it up. Hi, darling. How are you?
Hi, how are you? Hello.
Hi. What did you think of the whole shebang?
I thought it was...
You didn't watch it!
My favourite bit was when Chalky each fell over on the carpet, and then Pipsqueaks come over, and then Sneezy went, no! That was probably my favourite bit.
You just put him right in it now.
I did watch the Oscars.
I call him on his bullshit.
Don't swear.
Oh, this is morning television. This is morning television.
In England.
So listen, who are you happy to see win? I mean...
I'm happy that for everyone, really. Just everyone. People that won, people that were nominated, people that were just there.
Katy!
Those unsung heroes, the people that fill the seats.
Of course. Katy, how do you deal with this guy?
No, he's actually hilarious.
I'm glad you find him fun.
Speechless. Usually I'm the bubbly and I'm just like, oh my God, you're so funny. I can't believe it.
And have a lovely night. I know you're being pulled away back, left and centre.
In case you missed it, here are a couple of photos taken later that night as Russell and Katy posed together. In his hands, Russell is clearly and deliberately displaying this pendant. The pendant is comprised of a satanic pentagram and the word obey. Here's that clip one more time. Again, pay attention to Katie's demeanour change once this pendant is displayed by Russell.
Hi, darling. How are
Hi, how are you? Hello.
you? What did you think of the whole shebang?
I thought it was.
You didn't watch it.
My favourite bit was when Chalky each fell over on the carpet, and then Pipsqueaks come over, and then Sneezy went, no! That was probably my favourite bit.
You just put him right in it now.
I did watch the
I
Oscars.
call him on his bullshit.
Don't swear.
Oh, this is morning television. This is morning television.
In England.
So listen, who are you happy to see win? I mean,
I am happy that for everyone, really. Just everyone. People that won, people that were nominated, people that were just there.
Katie.
Those unsung heroes, the people that fill the seats.
Of course. Katie, how do you deal with this guy?
No, he's actually hilarious.
Even if we choose to dismiss this satanic pendant Russell displays, and also dismiss the idea that he was Katie's mind control handler, the very fact that he was married to a mind controlled dark force music industry puppet, someone who was being used to manipulate the consciousness of millions of people around the world, must mean that Russell Brand is either A, part of the gang, or B, knows a lot more than he is letting on. Katy Perry is one in a long line of dark force puppets within the music industry. Once she signed that deal to become a puppet, it was then full steam ahead for her career and her role as a manipulator of human consciousness. Here's Katy explaining how Madonna gave her advice on how to handle this thrust into the limelight after signing the deal.
Another thing I've read recently is that Madonna's a really big fan of yours. Are you a fan of Madonna's?
Oh, naturally, of course. She really gave me such a big push in the beginning of my career. Like right before my ship was set to sail, she kind of gave me this send-off that I really needed because, Madonna's Madonna, and when she talks, I think the people listen.
That's right, the queen puppet of the music industry gave Katy Perry a send-off at the start of her career. After all, she'd been through the exact same process decades before, so she certainly was qualified to explain to Katy Perry the situation. Here's Madonna dressed as the Horned Devil Baphomet during the 2012 Super Bowl. The symbolism during this performance was staggering. The one-eyed symbol was there along with this X within an O symbol. Here's Freeman Fly explaining what this X within an O represents.
Now, curiously enough, I didn't really know much about Nodens. And I had to look into this. And Nodens was known as the only named elder god and the lightning war god. And his symbol is an O with an X. Now this is, according to the practices of the Ordo Templi Orientis, the mark of the beast. And of course they put it on the beast, right? And Marvel, of course owned by Disney now, is implanting this into the children.
And just to prove that this symbol is of high significance to the dark forces, here's High Priest of the Church of Satan, Diabolus Rex, showing one of his many body implants.
Do you care if we got a view of your back one?
Yeah.
Yeah, so then you got, that's the mark of the beast right there. So you got the X.
In the O.
I want to give you this.
The X and the O.
Yep.
If you could actually see this in its completed form, because it's still actually shrinking a little bit.
So the X within the O is the mark of the beast. Where else do we see this symbol? Russell Brand's TV show on Fox, Brand X, used this very symbol. Again, I'm sure it's just a coincidence.
Now, I want to give you this. The X and the O. Yep.
So the X within the O is the mark of the beast. Where else do we see this symbol? Russell Brand's TV show on Fox, Brand X, used this very symbol. Again, I'm sure it's just a coincidence. But what about Russell Brand's battle with drug addiction and his eventual conquering of it? He says he's been clean for over a decade now, and this is a key point he likes to share in order to show some humility.
Russell, you and I have something in common. Congratulations on your sobriety.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
I'm clean from drugs.
Russell's been sober now for over 11 years.
It will be 12 years on December the 13th.
Good for you.
God willing.
Good for you.
But is this really the truth? In July 2012, a paparazzi photographer snapped these shots of Russell in LA. That white substance he is being given looks suspiciously like drugs. And his reaction to being photographed certainly shows his surprise. So coming back to this theme of Russell Brand and children, for someone who so clearly caters to adults with his sexual antics and vulgar humour, it's a little odd that Russell is often found around children on TV. Now, of course, on the surface, this could be explained away by the fact that Russell just likes children. Nothing sinister, he just enjoys children's company. It could be that simple, sure. But taking into consideration everything we've covered so far, and the fact that child abuse is a running theme with the controlling dark forces on this planet, it would be very unwise not to carefully analyse Russell's behaviour around children to see if there's anything concerning going on.
Yeah, I want children quite a lot, to the point of getting involved in other people's children and sort of hijacking children.
These are my friend's children from near where I live, Dolly and Frankie. Come here, you two. Don't be scared or nothing.
They look shy, but it's
Don't
all
act
right.
like you've not met me. Sit down. Be normal.
Hi.
There they are.
So
Yeah.
tell me about these two.
These two children are friends of mine that live near me. I'm friends with their mum, and I love them quite a lot. Frankie, do you love me a little bit?
He does. Well done. He does.
Do you think I'm a nice person? Yeah. Do you know Lorraine? You watch Lorraine on the telly sometimes, don't you?
Oh, it's lovely to see you.
Don't be shy, darling.
Look, are you going to stand as London Mayor? Gosh, you would be some London Mayor.
Frankie, you're not going to stand as London Mayor. You don't have any policies. You don't offer solutions in your book.
Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
darling. Do you think that I should be Mayor of London, Frankie?
Yeah.
He seems
Well,
pretty
Frankie
committed.
thinks so.
Frankie,
Frankie thinks
he's
so.
not actually eligible to vote, so he's not really
No.
very helpful for me. What do you want, darling?
No.
Not really very helpful for me. What do you want, darling? Do you want your mum?
No.
Not really very helpful for me.
What do you want, darling? Do you want your mum? He's not actually eligible to vote, so he's not really very helpful for me. What do you want, darling?
That is brilliant. That is so funny.
Yeah, that's how, if I was going to run for mayor, I would run under the slogan, Russell Brand will look after your children. If I was going to run for mayor, I would run under the slogan, Russell Brand will look after your children.
Thank you for coming in. Good luck with everything that you do.
Darling.
And give these children back to their mother, would you?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Give these children back to their mother, would you?
Russell Brand will look after your children.
Is it still with us?
Well, yeah, I think people are paedophiles, aren't they? So
Yeah,
it seems
people
to
in
be
public
happening.
life, people...
Presumably. People are paedophiles, aren't they? So
Yeah,
it seems
people
to be
in public
happening.
life, people...
Presumably. Presumably.
Okay, but how could Russell Brand be working with the dark forces on this planet when he's so clearly fighting for people's rights, bringing much needed attention to some of the world's problems, and constantly talking about spiritual empowerment? Just doesn't make any sense, does it? I mean, look at the message he's bringing to the world at the moment.
Behind all material information there is a sublime divine realm. We know this from quantum physics, that all of the stuff that we can see emerges from a world that's harder for us to know with our material senses. Your consciousness lives inside of Wendy Williams, but it's connected to all consciousness. Now we must transform, become enlightened, so that we can access the next realm of consciousness necessary for our evolution. We are manifesting this reality, and it comes from thought and from inner frequencies.
Consciousness is an amorphous and expanding entity. I think that we allow our consciousness to be prohibited by our senses, prescribed by our senses, living in the realm of these 5 apertures into our reality. But reality is limitless. Space is infinite. I choose to believe in God because I think what that is the recognition that there is divine beauty in all of us. And if we prioritise that over our own selfish material needs, then we will naturally create a culture more in harmony with our planet and we'll have a chance.
You sound like a sort of New Age prophet, you know. Like
Prophet, you say?
Yes.
Jon Snow there just said that I sound like a New Age prophet.
Sounds so empowering and enlightened, doesn't it? How could a man who speaks these types of words be anything to do with a dark force that wishes to control and enslave humanity? Well, in order to have any chance of answering that question, we must clearly understand that we are at war on this planet. A psychological war, a spiritual war, a war against a very cunning, dark force which wishes to enslave this planet. Sun Tzu, in The Art of War, stated that all warfare is based on deception. And Russian dictator Vladimir Lenin said the best way to control the opposition is to lead it. Right now, humanity's greatest weakness is naivety. A total lack of understanding of who the enemy is and what their tactics are. Humanity is waking up right now, and the dark forces knew this awakening period was going to be taking place. They knew this awakening had the potential to totally disrupt their agenda for control of the human population. And like any smart opponent, they devised tactics to counter it. Here's a good analogy. Imagine waking up from a 10-year coma. You've lost your memory, you don't understand who you are, where you are, or what you're supposed to be doing. Then an authority figure arrives in the room. He seems to understand your situation a hell of a lot better than you do yourself, and he tells you what's going on and what you need to do. You trust him, of course. Why wouldn't you? He's obviously the authority, and he seems to be talking sense. But what if this person didn't have your best interests at heart? What if he wanted to deceive you? Would he be in a powerful position to do so? And although on the surface Russell Brand seems to be standing up against the darkness on this planet and trying to create a better world, who exactly is he pointing the finger at? What exactly is he proposing as the solution to the world's problems? And where exactly is he leading people?
But it is interesting because you're not presenting solutions, because that's not your job in a sense, but you are raising questions that you want people to answer and people to think about. Is that what you would say?
Yeah, I think it's mad that people would expect me to come up with solutions. But yeah, I would have to say that if you're looking to the book Revolution for a solution to all of our many social problems, inequality and ecological meltdown, you may be disappointed. I think it's mad that people would expect me to come up with solutions.
I'll show you something. Come with me.
I was saying that... hello?
Come on.
Hello? Hello?
This way. Come along, come along. Over here. Come on. This way. Stay by me, huh? Nearly there now. Well, it's not much of a philosophy, I know. But, well, fuck you. I can live my own life in my own way if I want to. Fuck off. Don't come following me.
I think it's mad that people would expect me to come up with solutions.
The dark forces on this planet have set up many key figures and organisations to act as controlled opposition, or gatekeepers. They act as a second line of defence and lead the awakening humans astray, down a path that leads nowhere. What we must understand is just how clever and just how manipulative our enemy is. Do not underestimate them. Do not be naive. In simple terms, this is how their defence is set up, with two main walls defending the truth. The outer wall is the mainstream control grid. That's traditional religion, the mainstream media, government, the education system, and all mainstream institutions. This holds the majority of humanity under control. The second inner wall is there to hold back the awakening humans from reaching the truth. Here we have the controlled opposition, along with the New Age movement for people who have not fallen for traditional religion. A controlled opposition agent, or so-called gatekeeper, will give people a lot of truth in order to gain their trust. But they will only go so far and will only discuss certain permitted subjects. Their ultimate goal is to stop people mounting this second wall and reaching the inner core truths. The truths which have the power to bring down the dark forces' control on this planet. But what are these core truths? They are the truths about who our enemy truly is, who we really are, and the true situation on this planet. The Wizard of Oz is another good analogy of what we're dealing with here. The outer projection of smoke and mirrors is a falsehood. It is there to stop people looking behind the curtain to where the real power is and who is really pulling the strings. The Dark Forces don't care if people are talking about the Illuminati. Ideally, they'd rather people not know about this level of the control structure, but in today's awakening climate, they're willing to accept it. The Illuminati is becoming a mainstream term and is now being openly discussed in the mainstream media, albeit with a humorous tone.
This Illuminati.
Oh, yeah, the Illuminati.
Now, what are these people? Because the first time I heard about it, Susan Boyle did the Ice Bucket Challenge, and they said there was an Illuminati symbol on her swimsuit when she did it. And they were going, oh, she's a part of the Illuminati. And I didn't know. So I was reading about it, and then it turned up in your book. Are they really lizards?
Apparently there's this... I don't know if they're lizards or not. Apparently there's this group, I don't know, called the Illuminati, who are behind the scenes governing everything, running all the top businesses, running all the top organisations, and evidently this shadowy organisation are communicating through Susan Boyle's Ice Bucket Challenge. I don't know. But if there's a secret fucking organisation, Alan, and I ain't been invited to join it, I'm going to be cheesed off.